The gold key was still warm from his hand when he placed it in hers. Rewind 7 hours. Sloane Griffith stands alone at a rain-streaked window of the Kang mansion. 29 years old, black, private wealth strategist and internal auditor of her own husband's holdings. Yellow dress, braids heavy on her shoulders, phone dead in her palm. The last message before it died was a warning. 6 words. Your husband will use you as a shield. Her husband is Kang Tae-hyun, 36, head of the Kang family. They call him the Quiet One. Black 3-piece suit, koi tattoo curling up the left side of his neck, top button open only when he trusts the room. He has not answered a call in 7 hours. 3 unmarked cars slide up the drive. 2 detectives step out. No warrant, no badge held up long enough to read. They ask for the wife of Kang Tae-hyun. They ask her to sit. They ask her to sign. She sits. She does not sign. What she does not know is that her husband is already inside the house, watching, silent, listening for the one thing that will decide everything. And what those 2 detectives do not know is that this black woman in the yellow dress has been running her own quiet investigation for months. 2 secret operations, 1 interrogation table, 1 night. But what happens when the man hidden behind the wall hears his wife say the words no one was supposed to hear? Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click join to become a member and help our channel. Sloane counted the rings. 12. She set the phone face down on the marble console beneath the window and did not pick it up again. 7 hours since Tae-hyun had answered anything. 7 hours since the anonymous voice on the burner line had said the words she was still trying to unhear. Your husband will use you as a shield. The rain hit the tall windows of the Kang mansion in sheets. She stood barefoot on the cold stone floor, yellow dress catching the low light of the single lamp she'd left burning in the west drawing room. The heels were somewhere behind her, kicked off 2 hours ago. She hadn't noticed when. She lifted the phone one more time. Dead battery. She'd let it die on purpose after the 4th attempt. Watching the screen go black had been easier than watching it stay lit and refuse to ring. Sloane crossed to the writing desk, opened the 2nd drawer. The recorder was still there, the small silver one she kept for client meetings, the one no one in this house knew about, because no one in this house ever asked what a financial auditor kept in her drawers. She weighed it in her palm. Then she slid it back and closed the drawer with her thumb. Not yet. She walked the length of the room and stopped in front of the gilded sculpture on the far pedestal. A koi, cast in gold, curling upward. Tae-hyun had brought it home the week after they married. He'd told her it was decorative. She had known, even then, that nothing in this house was ever only decorative. She touched the base of it with 2 fingers. The small light behind the eye was steady green. Recording. Whoever came through the gate tonight would be on tape. Thunder cracked over the property. Sloane did not flinch. She crossed back to the window and rested her forehead against the cold glass for one breath, then straightened. The braids fell heavy against her shoulders. She tucked one back with the flat of her hand. A pair of headlights swept the front drive, then a second pair, then a third. 3 unmarked cars. She counted them the way she counted rings. Sloane stepped away from the window. She did not run. She walked to the console, slid her bare feet back into the nude heels one at a time, adjusted the thin gold chain at her collarbone, and turned toward the sound of the front doors already opening below. Someone had let them in without ringing. Someone inside the house had opened the door for the police. She was on the landing when the 2 men reached the bottom of the grand staircase. The heavier one led. Charcoal suit, wrinkled shirt, stained tie loose at the throat, badge clipped to his belt at hip height so anyone looking down could see it. The second man was thinner, cleaner, the kind of clean that had been ironed, navy suit that fit, small scar cutting through the left eyebrow. He was already scrolling something on a black phone. "Mrs. Kang," the heavier one said. He did not remove his coat. Water dripped from the hem onto the marble. "Detective Harris, this is Detective Monroe. We need to speak with your husband." Sloane came down 3 more steps and stopped. "Do you have a warrant?" Harris smiled without any of it reaching his eyes. "We have questions." "Then I have a lawyer." Monroe looked up from his phone for the first time. His gaze went past her, up the staircase behind her, then back down. He said nothing. Harris took 1 step forward onto the first stair. "It'd be a shame, Mrs. Kang, if this had to be conducted at the precinct. Weather like this, time of night." "It would be a shame," Sloane said, "if this were conducted at all without paperwork." She did not move from the 3rd step. She kept her hand on the banister, the way another woman might have kept a hand on a weapon. Behind the library wall on the 2nd floor, 12 feet above and 40 feet to her right, Kang Tae-hyun stood inside the narrow passage that ran between the library and the west drawing room. Black 3-piece suit, top button of his shirt open. The koi tattoo on the left side of his neck was visible in the sliver of lamplight bleeding through the gap. He had been standing there for 11 minutes. He had heard the cars before she had. He watched his wife on the landing through the seam in the paneling. He watched Harris take another half step up. He watched Monroe's phone light his jaw from below. He did not move. The signet ring on his right pinky pressed against the wood where his hand rested. He listened. Downstairs, Harris tried again, softer this time, the softness of a man who has done this in other houses to other women. "Mrs. Kang, we're only trying to help you." Sloane took 1 step down. Not 2, 1. The heel touched marble without sound. "Detective," she said, "you are standing in my foyer without a warrant, without an appointment, and without my husband. If you want to help me, you can start by telling me who let you in through that door." Harris's smile went flat. Monroe pocketed the phone. Somewhere in the house, above and behind the west wall, a man in a black suit closed his hands slowly into a fist and did not step out. Not yet. Harris pulled out the chair across from Sloane without asking. The wooden legs dragged against the marble and left a mark. Monroe stayed standing, 1 hand loose at his side, the other holding the black smartphone against his thigh. Sloane did not sit. She remained by the tall window, the yellow dress catching the low lamplight, her hands folded in front of her at the waist. "Mrs. Kang," Harris said, "sit down." "I prefer standing." He smiled the way tired men smile at children. Then he opened the folder he had carried in under his arm. He placed it on the low table between them. He did not open it yet. 2 floors above, behind a panel of dark walnut in the west corridor, Kang Tae-hyun watched a small screen embedded in the wall. The koi tattoo on his neck moved once as he swallowed. His right hand rested on the grip of a phone he had not turned on for 7 hours. On the screen, he saw his wife's back, straight as a blade, and 2 men who had walked into his house without a warrant. He had been building his own quiet file for 11 weeks. He had a name. He had bank transfers. He did not yet have the mouth that ordered them. He also did not know that in the top drawer of her writing desk, 3 floors below him, Sloane had been building the same file for 9 weeks. She had a name, too. She had signatures on internal disbursements no cousin should have touched. She had not told him because she wanted the whole rope, not half of it. The interrogation table between Harris and Sloane was the place where 2 secret hands were about to touch in the dark and not know it. Harris finally opened the folder. He slid a sheet across the marble. A photograph. Tae-hyun leaving a warehouse in Newark at 2 in the morning. Another photograph. A wire transfer sheet with the Kang seal. Another. A dead man on a curb with a coat Sloane recognized. "Your husband is going down, Mrs. Kang. Tonight or in 3 months. That part isn't up to you." Sloane looked at the photographs the way she looked at spreadsheets, column by column. She did not touch them. The part that is up to you, Harris went on, is whether you go down with him. Monroe placed a second document on the table. 2 pages, typed, 3 yellow tabs marking signature lines. Sloane read the first paragraph without leaning in. Sworn statement. Her name at the top. A confession of knowledge she did not have, dated 8 months back. Sign the top page and the 2 tabs, Monroe said. You walk out tonight. Federal protection. New name in 90 days. You wrote this before you came in. We wrote it last week. Behind the walnut panel, Taehyun's jaw shifted a millimeter. He had suspected a raid. He had not suspected a script. Someone had ordered these 2 men to break his wife specifically, on paper, in advance, and to leave with her signature. Someone inside. Sloane picked up the statement. She did not sign it. She turned the pages slowly, reading each line. On page 2, she stopped at a specific sentence. A transfer date in March, an account number ending in 4 digits she had personally frozen in April. Only 3 people in the world knew that account had ever existed. She was 1, Taehyun was 2, Han Jun-suk was 3. Her breath did not change. Her face did not change, but something in her hands went cold and precise. She set the paper down. Detective Harris. Ma'am, you know my husband's business well enough to walk in here on a Tuesday night. You know his lawyer's name. You knew which door of this house was unlocked, and you brought me a story about an account only his cousin could have named. Who wrote this for you? Harris kept the tired smile. Nobody writes for us, Mrs. Kang. Then you're stupider than you look. Monroe's phone lit up in his hand. He tilted it away from her, but the reflection caught in the polished marble of the table. Sloane did not look down. She had already seen the shape of the letters. 6 characters, a Korean surname. Harris leaned forward. We just want you to survive your husband, Mrs. Kang. Men like Kang Taehyun, they don't love women like you. They use women like you. When the fall comes, guess who they put at the door first? Women like me, she repeated. Flat, educated, beautiful, convenient. Say the word you actually mean, detective. He did not. Behind the wall, Taehyun closed his left hand into a fist and did not move it. He had promised himself one thing when he decided to stay hidden. He would not step out until he heard what she chose while she believed she was alone. What a person says in a room they think is empty is the only version of them that is true. Sloane walked, slowly, from the window to the table. She did not sit. She placed one hand flat on the sworn statement and slid it back across the marble to Monroe. I'm not signing this. Mrs. Kang, I'm not signing anything against my husband. I'm also not signing anything for him. If he did what you say he did, a court will prove it. If he didn't, a court will prove that too. I don't lie in either direction. Harris's smile finally went out. You think a court is going to save you tonight? I think a court is the only thing I answer to, and I think you know that, or you wouldn't have brought a pre-written page. Monroe took a step closer. Not much, half a foot, enough. Sloane did not step back. She lifted her chin 1 degree and let him come into her space. Her braids shifted against her shoulder. The gold hoops in her ears did not tremble. Behind the walnut panel, Taehyun heard the floorboard creak under Monroe's polished shoe. His hand moved off the phone and onto the handle of the hidden door. He did not turn it. Not yet. He wanted to hear the next sentence out of her mouth first. Harris moved before Monroe could stop him. 2 steps around the corner of the long table, then a third, and now he was on Sloane's side of it. The side without witnesses on paper. The side that would look, in any body cam footage that did not exist tonight, like proximity for interrogation. Sloane did not stand. She kept her hands folded on the tabletop, thumbs pressed together, the platinum band catching the yellow lamplight. Her braids had shifted forward with the small motion of her head tracking him. One pale leaf fragment stayed caught near her temple. She let it stay. Mrs. Kang. Harris crouched at the corner of her chair, close enough that she could smell the cheap coffee under the mint. You need to understand who you're protecting. I understand who I married. Do you? His hand rested on the back of her chair. Not on her. On the wood, 6 inches from her shoulder. Men like Kang Tae-hyun don't love wives. They love what wives make possible. Cover. Access. A face the audit board wants to see across a table. Behind the sliding panel of the library passage, 20 feet away, Tae-hyun stopped breathing. He had heard men use that voice before. He knew what came after the voice. He had, in his life, ended 2 men for less proximity to women who were not his wife. His right hand was already flat against the inner wall of the passage, palm cold on the lacquer. One push, and the panel would slide. One step and Harris would be on the floor before Monroe cleared his holster. He did not push. He had told himself, in the 7 hours of silence before the cars arrived, that if the pressure came, he would let it come far enough to hear what she said when she believed she was alone. That was the whole point of the hiding, not cowardice, measurement. He needed to know what his wife chose when nothing between her mouth and God was watching. So he stayed, and it cost him something he would not name later. He doesn't love you, Harris said. Softer now, as if this were kindness. Men like Kang Tae-hyun only love power. You're the pretty part of the balance sheet. When the sheet gets ugly, and it will get ugly tonight, you're the line item they cross out first. Monroe had gone very still by the door. His phone was face down on the sideboard. He was watching Harris the way a man watches a driver taking a curve too fast. Sloane looked at the corner of the table. Not at Harris, at the corner. The wood was dark walnut, oiled last week by the housekeeper who came Tuesdays. She had signed the invoice herself, $640. She remembered the number because she remembered every number that crossed her desk. That was her job. That was who she was before she was anyone's shield. She counted the number of unauthorized men in her house. 2. She counted the number of firearms she could see. 2 on Harris, 1 on Monroe. She counted the exits. 3. Front hall, kitchen service door, the passage behind the sculpture that Harris did not know about and would not find. She counted the number of black women who had been alone in a room with 2 armed white detectives and a missing husband, and had walked out unaltered. She did not have that number. Nobody did. Her thumb pressed harder against the ring. Detective Harris. Her voice came out level, lower than his. The voice she used in audit rooms when the number on the screen was wrong, and everyone was still pretending it was right. You are standing closer to me than the law permits, without a warrant, without a female officer present, and without my consent. Step back. Harris smiled. He did not step back. Or what, Mrs. Kang? Or the recording of this proximity, which began the moment you crossed the gate, will be time-stamped against your badge number by a lawyer whose name you will hear in 9 minutes. Monroe's head turned 2 inches. Harris's smile did not move, but the hand on the back of her chair did. It slid off the wood. There's no recording. He said it too quickly. There is. She did not point yet. She did not look at the sculpture. She let him decide, in the silence, whether to believe her. The trick of the audit room, the number on the screen is either wrong or it is not. Your face tells me which one you already know. Harris stood up. The knee cracked. He walked back to his side of the table with a slowness meant to look like control and looking, instead, like retreat. Sloane exhaled. 1 breath, not 2. Behind the panel, Tae-hyun closed his eyes for 1 full second. When he opened them, the koi tattoo on his neck was hot against the collar of his shirt, and he could hear the pulse in his own left ear. He had heard his wife hold a room he had built for her. He had heard her do it without him. Something in him that had been standing for 36 years sat down. Harris tried again. He was a man who tried again. Mrs. Kang, sign the declaration and you walk out of the marriage tonight. Federal protection, new name, new coast. You don't owe him this. You keep telling me what I owe, because you don't seem to hear it. I hear it. I'm choosing not to obey it. Monroe finally spoke, quiet, to Harris, not to her. Ray. Harris ignored him. Last chance, Mrs. Kang. Sign, or the folder walks out of here to a federal desk with your name at the top of it. Aiding and abetting, structuring, foreign transfer violations. You know what those numbers add up to. I do. She almost smiled. She did not. I audited them. Harris stopped. Somewhere in the house, at the end of the long marble corridor, a car door closed. Then a second one. Then a set of footsteps on wet stone that did not belong to any officer in this room. Monroe's phone lit up on the sideboard, face down. The screen glow bled around the edges of the case. He did not reach for it. Sloane did not turn toward the corridor. She kept her eyes on Harris. She said, 9 minutes was generous. Harris did not sit back down. He stood at the edge of the table with the folder still open, the false declaration still turned toward her, and he did not know yet that the room had already ended. Sloane rose from the chair without haste. She smoothed the front of the yellow dress with one hand. She walked 3 steps toward the sideboard, 3 steps that Monroe tracked with his eyes, and Harris tracked with the small twitch at the corner of his mouth. She stopped beside the gilded sculpture of the crane, the tall one Taehyun had placed there the week they moved in. I love my husband, she said. Harris almost smiled. He thought he had won. I will not lie for him, Sloane said. I will not lie against him. She turned the base of the sculpture a 1/4 inch. A soft green light, no bigger than a grain of rice, glowed once beneath the metal. This room has been recording since your car crossed the gate, she said. The audio is already on a server your captain does not control. Monroe's hand went to his pocket on instinct. His phone was already lighting up. He looked down. The screen said, Han Jun Sok. It said it for 4 full seconds before he could kill it. Harris saw it. Harris saw Monroe see him seeing it. Sloane reached into the small drawer of the sideboard. She drew out a slim black recorder, older than the sculpture, and set it on the polished wood between them. I have my own, she said. 3 weeks. Your paymaster, naming the price on you two. Naming the price on the folder in your hand. She pressed a single button. Han Jun-sok's voice came out of the small speaker, tired and precise, listing figures, listing names, listing the exact wording of the declaration Monroe had slid across the table 9 minutes earlier. Harris did not move. Monroe closed his eyes for 1 full second. Behind the library wall, in a passage narrower than a coffin, Kang Tae-hyun heard the recording end. He had heard everything. He had heard her refuse to lie for him while she believed he was 7 hours gone. That was the sentence that would live inside him for the rest of his life, and he already knew it. The tall doors of the sitting room opened without a knock. Nathaniel Reeve walked in first. The black wool overcoat glistened with rain across the shoulders. Behind him came 2 men from the Kang audit team in dark suits and a woman in a charcoal blazer with an internal affairs badge clipped at her hip. Behind them, 2 uniformed officers Sloane did not know, and one she did, Captain Vega from the 8th Precinct, who did not look at Harris and did not look at Monroe. Reeve set the slim briefcase on the table beside the false declaration. He did not open it. Detectives Harris and Monroe, he said. This conversation is over. Harris tried the folder. We have questions for Mrs. Kang regarding... You have a suspension letter waiting at your precinct, Reeve said. Detective Monroe, your phone will remain on the table. Captain Vega has a warrant for both devices. Internal Affairs opened your files this morning. Monroe set the phone down. His hand shook once and then did not shake again. The passage door in the library wall slid open. Taehyun stepped into the sitting room. The white collar of his shirt was open. The koi tattoo showed dark against the side of his neck. He did not look at Harris. He did not look at Monroe. He walked past the false declaration, as if it were nothing on a table, and stopped in front of his wife. He did not speak first. He put his right hand into the inside pocket of the black jacket and drew out a small gold key on a thin platinum chain. He placed the key in Sloane's palm and closed her fingers over it. "The main security room," he said. "Every camera, every audio channel, every access log. Nothing happens in this house again without you knowing." Sloane did not open her hand. She did not close her eyes. She held the key the way she had held the phone 7 hours earlier, when it had gone dead in her hand, and she had been alone. Captain Vega walked Harris out first. Monroe followed without being touched. The false declaration stayed on the table. Reeve folded it once, slid it into the briefcase, and did not look at it again. By 4 a.m, Han Jun-suk was no longer on the Kang family council. There was no shot, no broken door, no body. There was a signed transfer of shares, a private plane to a city Sloane did not ask the name of, and a chair at the long table that would sit empty until dawn and then be quietly removed. The rain thinned to almost nothing. Sloane stepped onto the balcony above the garden. She had taken the pins out of her braids. They fell heavy along her back and across the yellow shoulder of the dress. The gold key was still closed in her left hand. She did not put it down. Taehyun came out behind her. He stopped 1 step short of her back. He did not touch her. "You heard everything," she said. She did not turn. "Everything," he said. "You heard me say I would not lie for you." "Yes." "You heard me say it when I thought I was alone." "Yes." She turned then. Her face was calm. The storm was moving east across the river, and the first pale seam of morning was showing behind it. "May I stay?" he said. She did not answer with a word. She opened her left hand between them. The gold key lay flat on her palm, small and warm from having been held. She did not give it back. She did not close her fingers again. She looked at him the way a woman looks at a man she has just decided, all over again, to keep. The braids moved once in the last of the wind. Behind them, inside the house, every light was still on. If you want to watch all the stories without any ads and also get access to bonus scenes, extended epilogues, and exclusive spicy chapters, head over to our Patreon. Scan the QR code on the screen. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment. See you there. If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever been in a room where 2 people offered you a lie, dressed as protection, and the only shield you had was your own name? Have you ever loved someone powerful and still refused to bend the truth for them or against them when no one was watching? And when the person you trusted most was hidden close enough to hear, what would you have wanted them to learn about who you really are? Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about dignity, loyalty, and hidden truths, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.